Tell me about a time you made a mistake. I had a project I was working on, and while I was in the middle of typing up my documentation, my computer started acting weird. It froze for a while, and so I rebooted. After 10 minutes, the computer showed a blue screen, saying that there were problems, and recommended that I rebooted the computer again. After another reboot, everything appeared to be okay. I continued my work and finished for the day. I spent 2 days on this assignment, and when I went to retrieve my data the next day to double-check my work, my computer wouldn't start up. A technician came and found that my hard drive malfunctioned. I lost all the data and lost 2 days of work. I was disappointed and thought I would never trust a computer again, but there was a great lesson to be learned. I had a couple of warnings and I ignored them. From then on, I practiced being someone who can anticipate problems. I now think of potential problems ahead of time and pay attention to details along the way. If I applied this sooner, I would have saved the data on another computer, and I wouldn't have lost a couple days of work. But I can't say I regret making the mistake, because it made me someone who can anticipate problems better. Tell me about a time you had a big disagreement with your boss. What did you do, and what was the outcome? I don't think I've had a large disagreement with my boss before, but I do remember a small disagreement. I received an email from my boss telling me that he wants me to stop the work I was doing on my project and give it to a coworker. He wanted me to start on a new project immediately. I spent 2.5 weeks on this project, and I only had 3 days left. I really wanted to finish this, and it didn't make sense for me to hand this project off to someone else. So I put some thought into it, went over to my boss's office, and asked him why this project couldn't wait 3 days. He made his argument, and I still didn't agree. We discussed this for a while, and we compromised by having someone help me finish the project I was working on, so I could have some time to kickstart the next project. That's the only experience I had with a disagreement, but I learned that it only takes simple dialogue and a little compromise to overcome a disagreement. Tell me about a time you hired someone. I had one bad experience when hiring someone. I remember I was following procedures and verifying everything I could from past experience, checking communication skills, personality, work ethic, technical skills, and some tough logic problems. We even had 4 different people interviewing this candidate. Everything looked great, but when the person started, he had a hard time understanding new concepts. I originally thought it was because he was new and had to ramp up on many things, but as months passed by, this employee was still unable to work alone. He always had to ask how to do even simple tasks. I remember going through his resume and looking over his background, and even thinking about where we missed this flaw in the interview. Using this same interviewing procedure, we hired many great people, but this one turned out a little sour. What are your strengths? I'm very detail-oriented, good at managing time, and very honest. I always incorporate managing time and being detailed together. By nature, I've been detail-oriented, and that resulted in taking too much time on a particular task. After incorporating time management into the mix, I found that my work and efficiency increased dramatically. I plan better and produce higher quality work in a time-constrained environment. Finally, I'm a very honest person. When I was working as a valet attendant during college, a lady gave me a $20 bill to pay for a $3 fee. She almost drove off the lot, but I stopped her and said, "Here's your change." My coworker said I should have considered the change as tip, but I know what I did was honest and right. You can fool other people, but you can't fool yourself. That's what I believe. How will your performance in your worst class affect your performance on this job? I remember I did terrible in my astrology class. I didn't have much interest in the subject, and I really didn't know that I would struggle in it. I thought about just doing enough to make it through, but I decided I was going to put some effort into it. I continually asked questions and studied more for this class than I did in others. I got a B for all my effort, but at least I didn't give up, and I kept pushing forward. So now I know that whether I like a project or not, I'll do the best I can because it's my responsibility. What do you do when you have a problem with a coworker? Well, it all depends if it's a personality conflict or an issue that is causing the problem. An issue is easy to deal with. I think I'd go and talk with a coworker, saying something like, "If you have some time, I think it would be good for us if we could talk about this issue." Starting a conversation to deal with the problem with a coworker is the hardest step, and if it's done properly, then the issue can easily be resolved. If it is a personality issue, then I would try to be more understanding and at worst deal with the problem by anticipating conflicts ahead of time to put myself in a position to either avoid it or to make it less of a problem. If everyone on the team is a veteran, what will you do to fit in and be a beneficial team member instead of a person who appears to be in training? Even if everyone is a veteran, I feel I can fit right in. I would prepare as much as I can by reading existing material to catch up on a project. I would plan for meetings by making a list of questions I have and finding the answer to these questions before the meeting. I would also create a list of ideas through the documents I had read. A fresh mind could help with creative solutions. I know that I would be required to study a lot in the beginning, but I would be able to do so at home or by working late in the office. Have you fired anyone? And if so, why? When I was managing a group of 4 people in my last position, I unfortunately had to fire one of them. The person was unable to perform at an acceptable level for a long period of time. Our company has a process in place of trying to grow our employees, empower them, and help them find their strengths, but nothing helped. I put the person on probation and explained that he will have to try harder. But after seeing bad performance due to a lack of effort for a long time, I had to fire him. Why should I hire you? The reason I applied for this position is because the qualification matched my strengths perfectly. I'm good at juggling multiple tasks, I'm very detail-oriented, and I organize my time very efficiently. But the truth is that many people have these traits. But if I were in your position, I would hire myself because of the passion I have for this industry and my optimistic personality. My education background and my strengths show that I can do this job. But I want to make more of an impact than just doing my job. I don't want to blend in with the company. I would rather want my addition to improve it. Tell me about a time you failed to complete an assignment on time. One time, I had a project that was due on Tuesday. On Friday, I analyzed our progress, and I was ahead of schedule. I didn't have to work over the weekend to complete the assignment. On Monday, my manager was sick, so I had to attend several meetings that took all day. Because of that, I didn't complete my assignment until Wednesday. Now I try to finish my assignments a day or half a day early because something unexpected could come up. What do you feel an employer owes an employee? I have a lot of expectations for my employer. Financial compensation is a given, but there are other things I expect. I feel an employer should provide a good work environment, opportunities for growth, reward and recognition for excellence, and guidance in career development. I know I'll be giving everything I can to help my employer succeed, and in return, these are some of the expectations I have. Tell me about a time you found a solution to save the company money. I wasn't really in any position to save the company money, but I have one small example. When we were a smaller company, we didn't get a significant corporate discount on our hardware. After we grew in size, we qualified for the larger discount, but nobody realized that we've now met the quota. I pointed this out and we started saving 5% more on our hardware. Tell me about a time you made a good decision. During my last project, we ran into a difficult problem. This was high priority, so everyone was instructed to find a solution. I started looking for more information on the internet. I even talked to a different manager on a different team. This helped tremendously, and our problem was solved. I made a decision to use every resource I could find, and in the end, it solved the problem. If your supervisor tells you to do something that you believe can be done in a different way, what would you do? I'll suggest a different method and ask my supervisor if I can do this work the new way. If the result will be the same, but would potentially save more time, then I believe my manager will allow it. However, if my manager wants it done a certain way for other reasons, I will follow his or her instructions. If you're given work from your manager that is boring and tedious, what will you do? I trust that management knows what is best for the project. Whatever work I am given, I'm going to do my best, knowing that it's helping the entire company. I am more oriented towards success of the company, and will do whatever it takes to help out, so I wouldn't mind doing boring and tedious work for a while. Tell me about your last position. What did you do and how'd you do it? Include the people you worked for and the people you worked with. I worked for a large insurance company as an agent. I made sales to new customers and provided customer service to existing customers. I worked with 3 other people in my group, and we helped each other by sharing ideas and experiences. Tell me about a time you fired someone. In my last position, I had 4 people reporting to me. One of my direct reports failed to show up on time, complete assignments, and really didn't care about the work. I tried to encourage the employee, assigned different types of work to him, and even sat down and showed him how to do things. After 2 months of trying, I had to let him go. Tell me about a time you aimed too high. We had a new project that I was interested in. Even though I was busy, I volunteered to take on the assignment. I had to work so much more. Although I managed to complete the assignment, it really burnt me out. I feel I aimed too high, and I would have benefited by doing a better job on my current assignments instead of wanting more challenges. Tell me about a time you made a great sale. I had a customer come in that was a little rude. He had many questions and cut me off very frequently. I stayed patient and explained everything to his satisfaction. He ended up representing a medium-sized business that required a large order. I feel this was a great sale because I treated this customer with respect and patience. Tell me about a time you went over budget. During our marketing campaign, we realized how many customers we were gaining through the radio advertisements. Although we didn't have budget for more radio advertisement, I still made the decision to place our ad on 3 more stations. We increased sales by 25% for that month, but I ended up going over budget by 5%. If you don't leave your current job, what do you imagine you will be doing in several years? I'm confident I'll be in a management position several years from now. In my current position, junior employees ask me many questions, and I like to mentor people. My work is very routine, and I am very efficient. I want to find more challenges my work currently doesn't offer. What were the most memorable accomplishments in your last position? One day our director came out of his office asking who wrote up the documentation for ABC firm. I didn't know if he was upset or impressed. I said I did it, and he basically said, "Great job," and went back to his office. This was memorable because the director never did this before. You've been with one company your entire career. Don't you think you'll have a tough time adjusting to a new environment? In my company, my projects change very frequently, and I was required to ramp up on new technologies. I'm also very friendly and like to meet new people, so I think I'll have an easy time adjusting to a new environment. During your performance reviews, what criticism do you hear the most? I heard that I need to be proactive. I always perform at an exceptional level, but I didn't volunteer for additional work. I wasn't accustomed to it, so I'm glad that I received this criticism. I now practice keeping an eye out for additional projects I can take on. Why haven't you received any offers so far? Most of the jobs I've been applying for require more experience than I have. Also, because the job market is rough right now, the competition has been really tough. But I plan on self-studying continually, and I know through my diligence that I will get a job soon. Who do you think are our 2 major competitors? Microsoft is competing with many different companies because Microsoft provides many different software. MSN is growing, and AOL is the #1 competitor for this business, while the Microsoft OS is challenged by Linux because it's free. Which category do you fall under? A person who anticipates a problem well, or a person who reacts to a problem well? I believe I'm strong in both, but I try to work more on anticipating problems. In this profession, it's very important to anticipate a problem and fix it before it becomes a real problem. What are your weaknesses? The weakest trait I've struggled with was not asking for help. I always try to solve my own problems instead of asking a coworker who might know the answer. This would save me more time, and I would be more efficient. I'm working on knowing when it would be beneficial to ask for help. Tell me about a time you aimed too low. There was a new project that I was interested in. Because I had other responsibilities, I didn't volunteer. I wasn't too busy, but I was worried I wouldn't complete the assignment on time. I I realized I missed a wonderful opportunity because I aimed too low. Why are you applying for a job that you didn't major in? I majored in English because I like to write. Because I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, I majored in something I was very interested in. After working for a year on the marketing team, I realized that this is what I want to be doing. What do you do when there's no work to do? I always try to be productive, even if there isn't much work to do. I use my time to find areas of improvement within the office, take time to study new things that will help me on future projects, and volunteer to help other coworkers that might have too much work. What could you have done to improve your relationship with a manager you didn't like? I feel I should be more understanding of different work styles. I didn't like my manager not communicating enough, but that didn't mean we couldn't approach him. So I'm learning to work seamlessly with different types of people. What do you do when a worker is giving the team more problems than helping? If the problem is related to a difficult task that a coworker cannot solve, then I'll get all the team members to help out. But if the problem is due to laziness or unwillingness to work, then I'll inform my manager of the problem. If you could start your career over again, what would you do differently? I started my career at a small company. I feel I would have benefited more if I had started at a larger company. A large company usually provides training that I didn't receive, so I'd like to have started my career in a larger company. How do you intend to learn what you need to know to perform well for this job? I have experience in this area, so I won't need much training. However, I know different companies have different ways of doing things, so I'll learn company policies and methods quickly to apply my existing knowledge to do a good job. If you were unfairly criticized, what would you do? I usually use all criticism to help me grow. If I was criticized unfairly, there must be a little truth to it. I will learn as much as I can from it, but if it was really out of line, I would definitely approach the person and ask for clarity. Did you do any internships? Yes, I did 2 internships. The first internship was for Johnson & Johnson. I worked in the distribution team, and my second internship was for Starbucks. At Starbucks, I had the opportunity to work on overseas ventures. If you have problems or complaints with your current job, why haven't you brought it to their attention? I believe in being straightforward, and I told my manager on numerous occasions that I was interested in taking on more responsibilities. However, my current group doesn't have opportunities I am looking for. What's the title of the person you report to? What responsibility does he or she have? My manager had a supervisor title. He was in charge of distributing work to staff auditors, reviewing final audits, scheduling business trips, and he also performed audits as well. Tell me about the worst manager you ever had. In my last position, I had a manager who didn't like to give instructions. I managed to figure a lot of it out, but I would have saved a lot of time if my manager gave a simple 5-minute overview on the project. If you don't understand your assignment and you can't reach your boss, what would you do? There are many places I can look for clarity. I would look through some books, or the internet, or my peers, or even other managers. If I try to look for answers, most of the time I can find them. Do you see that stapler? Convince me to buy it. This stapler is on sale for 30% off. The manufacturer is a new company, so their prices are great right now. They have a great warranty program, and it will save your company a lot of money with a substantial discount. What do you do when there are too many things to do? I believe in hard work. A lot can be accomplished by working diligently. In a situation where there are many things to do, I will reprioritize my work, plan and organize as much as I can, and work hard. How do you make important decisions? I gather all the information I can, and based on the information, I'll come to the best decision I can. If I know a coworker was in a similar situation, I wouldn't hesitate to find out the results to make sure my decision is the best one. What course did you like the least? I didn't enjoy history that much. It wasn't that difficult, but it didn't allow me to think creatively. Most of the classes I took were about memorizing dates and facts, so history is my least favorite subject. What do you do when you have a problem with your boss? When I have a problem with my boss, I don't like to keep it bottled up. I want to resolve problems so I can work efficiently without distractions. So I always talk to my manager about the problems that I have openly. If you could learn something such as a new skill, what would it be? I would love to learn more about auditing. As a tax accountant, I primarily work on tax, but I like all aspects of accounting, and I think auditing would be very interesting. Have you managed people in any of the positions you've held? I've never managed people yet, but I have 2 years of experience mentoring new employees. I took several courses on management, and I feel I'm ready to take the next step of managing people. Why did you choose your major? I majored in English because it was a major that would make me more skilled in reading, writing, and communicating. I believe English is a tool that is used everywhere, so I thought it was the best major for me. Would you like to have your boss's job? I'm always learning new things, and in time, I would like to have my boss's position. I believe I'm on track to become a manager, and I'll continue to work hard to prove my abilities to the company. If you could change one thing about your personality, what would it be and why? I have high expectations, and I have these expectations on others. I think if I was more understanding, I could help other workers improve instead of being disappointed. What do you do when you're having difficulty solving a problem? I break down the problem piece by piece and try and solve difficult problems step by step. This approach helps me not to get overwhelmed by difficult problems. Are you a risk taker, or do you like to stay away from risks? I think it's important to take some risks. I keep the options open, and if the reward justifies the risks, I would definitely try, so I am more of a risk taker. How do you handle change? I'm good at dealing with change because I'm a quick thinker. If new information makes us change our marketing strategy, for example, I'll be quick to analyze the information and create a plan to make the changes. What did you hear about us? I heard that ABC Company is a leader in copy machine distribution. ABC Company is a global company in 18 different countries. And finally, it's one of the best companies to work for. How long have you been looking for a job? I've been looking for about a month now. Because of the slow economy, it's taking a little longer than I expected, but I'm confident that I can be a valuable asset to any company. How would your mother describe you? My mother told me I was always smart. When I was younger, she was surprised to see A's in my report card. After a while, she would be surprised when I didn't receive an A. Why do you like sales? I enjoy sales because it requires strong communication skills, and that's one of my strong traits. I like the challenge of making a sale, and I feel good whenever I make a good sale. If you're happy with your current job, why do you want to leave? I've been in my current position for 4 years, and I want to gain experiences in other areas. I love my job, but I want to grow more as a professional. If you're told to do something that you feel is illegal, what would you do? I'd verify if the work was legal or not. If it wasn't legal, then I'd confront my manager and my manager's manager with this incident. What aspects of this job interest you the most? I'm very excited about this job because of the variety of different work. I'm well-rounded, and it's always exciting when I can use many of my skills for a job. Are you an organized person? I believe I'm very organized. I like to organize my work by priorities and deadlines. I do this so I can produce the highest quality work in the amount of time I have. What course did you like the most? There was a speech class I took that I really enjoyed. It helped me to speak in groups better, and I learned to speak professionally in front of an audience. If you redo college again, what would you major in? I like the fact that I completed my degree in English, but if I could redo college again, I would like to double major in English and business. What are your short-term goals? My short-term goal is to find a position where I can use the knowledge and strengths that I have. I want to partake in the growth and success of the company I work for. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? In 5 years, I see myself as a valued employee of a company. I want to be an expert at my position and start training to be a manager. What is your management philosophy? I think management should provide guidance, direction, leadership, and finally set an example to subordinates. What does success mean to you? To me, success means to have a goal, plan the steps to achieve the goal, implement the plan, and finally achieve the goal. What kind of salary are you looking for? The job description says that the salary will be around $45,000 to $53,000. I think it's a fair range. What extracurricular activities were you involved in? I was very active in our university politics. In my senior year, I was the vice president of the university. Do you manage your time well? I manage my time well by planning out what I have to do for the whole week. It keeps me on track and even helps me to be more efficient. Tell me a little about yourself. I attended MIT where I majored in electrical engineering. My hobbies include basketball, reading novels, and hiking. What are your long-term goals? I would like to become a director or higher. This might be a little ambitious, but I know I'm smart and I'm willing to work hard. In what ways are you organized and disorganized? I'm very organized with my time and work, but my desk is a little disorganized. Do you earn any income from investments or hobbies? I have some mutual funds that perform about 8% a year. What do you do to stay in shape? I work out at a gym a couple times a week. I like to stay active. Do you own or rent your home? I'm renting right now, but I'll probably buy a house when I get married. Do you have any outside income? No, I do not. Are you considering any other offers right now? I'm not considering any of my offers right now. What does failure mean to you? I think to fail at something is making a mistake and not learning anything from it.